don't stop giving us money.
Yeah.
If it's even a public owned company, I don't know Konami, but this whole business with Kojima has been completely ridiculous, Derek. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows. Maybe Konami is actually the victim here, and Kojima is a drama queen, dictator, and we don't know who makes babies work as slaves. We don't know. The fact is that Konami, by their actions alone, have created this whole issue.
Yes.
And it's like, Kojima hasn't said one word in all this, absolutely anything. But Konami's actions has been like, dude, what's going on? And right now, the fact that they won't still admit that the guy's leaving, come on, get over it.
So
he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Back in March, they did some restructuring back at Konami, and this is sort of where it all kind of started coming out. And it's been kind of lingering on for months now. But back in March, they were restructuring, and Kojima didn't show up on their list of directors. So that was the first, like, whoa, is Kojima still with the company? And then they canceled Silent Hills in April, very shortly after.
Which still hurts. You know that it was a collaboration between Kojima and Del Toro. And it's like, man, it could have been like the most perfect game. And
would have been nice. In July, Kojima Productions had been disbanded, which was his own studio that he founded back in like 85, 86, somewhere around there. And then Metal Gear Solid 5, which is a Hideo Kojima game, if you've ever played literally any 5 minutes of Metal Gear Solid 5.
It's not like they print their name in every single mission.
This chapter is a Hideo Kojima chapter of Metal Gear Solid 5, a Hideo Kojima game made by Hideo Kojima from the Hideo Kojima server or studio. Yeah, god damn it.
Yeah,
it's fucking everywhere in that game.
Everywhere. But you know what? Well deserved, because the game is amazing.
Yeah, his name wasn't his name removed from the box art though?
It was, and
then it's everywhere in the game.
And this is why it's like ridiculous for me how Konami just, I don't understand. So they made this big fuss about getting rid of his name on the box art of the video game, but it's everywhere in the game anyway. But they made themselves look like the bad guy because they wanted to remove the name from the art. It makes no sense, Konami. Come on, get your shit together.
Yeah, it's super weird.
But what I'm excited, Derek, is this man is going to come out. He's going to have his vacation. His contract, his artistic creativity contract expires in January, which means after that, he's allowed to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I believe
I'm excited for what he does next. I want this man to create his own studios and make his own games, and they're going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just have to wait for like a non-compete clause thing to finish up before he can start making again. But at this point, it's at the point where he just needs to move on from Konami.
Oh yeah,
and Konami's a sinking ship anyway. So like, definitely for Metal Gear, he's done way too much with that series at this point. I think.
Fucking love Metal Gear to no end. I mean, it's one of my favorite franchises, but.
Yeah.
I want to see him do other stuff. I want to see what he can do in other genres. I want to see him just completely rock this world and just create an amazing game. And that's going to happen. And once January hits, the race for all publishers to be able to try to get this guy, or no publishers, developers, to get this guy to work for them. Yeah. The guy is made for life, especially after a swan song such as Metal Gear 5. It's amazing.
I agree. So, we'll hopefully see a little bit more from Kojima in the future, but it looks like, despite what Konami wants to say for their investors, he is definitely still leaving. So
he is. Yeah. He is leaving.
So, I think we're done with Kojima here. We want to move on. There's
a game. News.
There's a game coming out tomorrow for Wii U, which I think most people actually forgot about by now, except for the couple people complaining. So the new Fatal Frame game, which, if you don't know what Fatal Frame is, it's a horror game based around taking pictures. So you have a camera, and it plays kind of like a Resident Evil or like a Silent Hill. But then what you do is you take pictures with your camera, and then you see spooky ghosts, essentially.
Spooky. This one fueled my high school nightmares, let me tell you.
And
the first one when it came out.
Yeah, there's a lot of like demon and tradition and cult type of feeling to the games usually, and the storyline. So it's very Resident Evil, very Silent Hill type of thing, and that's exactly what it's trying to be. But the new Wii U game, in Japan, they released some costumes which are unlockable, and this is common in any of the Fatal Frame games. But there's been some, I guess you could say, some issues with it with the American audience because they removed some of the skimpier costumes from the Japanese version, and replaced them with more Nintendo theme ones in the US.
So here's my deal.
I don't really have a problem with it, but
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, so the original Japanese game had really skimpy outfits. It's a Japanese game. Get over it. It happens. And they decided to take those away and replace them with, Metroid-inspired, Zelda-inspired costumes, which is fine. I mean, of course, I love those franchises, so it's more of a good thing. My main concern is this is an MA game. This is a mature-only game. Was it really necessary, Derek, to get rid of those outfits? If it's the game, surely it's towards a mature audience. I can get if it was, a E for everyone, or a game for teens, T for teen. But it is a mature game. I mean, what is the problem here? I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, so with Fatal Frame,
especially, I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. Especially from a publisher who already sent out Bayonetta 2 as an exclusive for Nintendo. Come on.
Bayonetta in Bayonetta 2 is way less skimpy than Bayonetta in Bayonetta 1, to be perfectly fair. But Bayonetta 2 had Bayonetta on the disc, so you could play both. But the point being, I mean, Fatal Frame, I played some of the earlier Fatal Frames. Specifically, Fatal Frame 2 was the one I played the most of. And that did have, like, bikini costume, I guess. I don't really see what the controversy is in that. But the fact that there was also a Fatal Frame game released on Wii, which had a very similar costume change with a Samus costume. I mean, it's just something Nintendo's going to do. They've done it with Bravely Default in the past on 3DS. That had some skimpier costumes, and they changed that to more like the same type of costume, but they covered up more of the body, basically, in parts where it mattered. And the fact of the matter is, in the US, Nintendo scene is more of a family-friendly still type of company, and they're just going to make those types of changes for a US audience because it's more socially acceptable for that type of thing to be changed than to leave it.
But then again, and I understand. For example, we were just talking about Bravely Default, which is a fantastic game, one of my favorite games in 2013. And in that aspect, I do understand. And then again, I don't know much about Fatal Frame's story. But in Bravely Default, I didn't have much of a problem with it because we knew the ages of those characters. And they were underage. So in that aspect,
in Bravely Default,
it is a lot more understandable.
They changed some of them from 15 to 18, and then for the US release, and then they changed the costume.
Oh well,
it was very quietly. They're like, no, they're not 15. They're 18. It's fine. So this is the costume. I have it up on screen. It's that's. I mean, so it's not worse than like a bikini.
Yeah,
but it's a little skimpy.
I don't know.
It was supposed to be a reward for going through the game multiple times. It's supposed to give you a reason to play the game again, I guess.
I mean,
but I feel like the Nintendo costumes are perfectly fine. I don't know why people were complaining.
Oh no, like I said in the original, it's not. I'm not mad because they added those. All the more. I love it. I love those franchises. I love Nintendo. But why take away the other ones? I mean, again, it is a mature game. Whoever wants them can have them. I'm all for it. So
I definitely see it as less of a censorship issue. I think some people just throw out the words; they don't understand what they're trying to talk about. And more of like a cultural difference. In Japan, it's more culturally acceptable for that type of thing. And for a more broad American audience, I don't think it is. Especially on a console like the Wii U.
Yeah. No, I get you. So, definitely get you.
So I'm with them on that. Either way, the Fatal Frame series is great. It's coming out tomorrow if you have a Wii U, so something to check out.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely. If you like horror games, I mean, it's always
yeah,
been one of my favorites. The fact that your only weapon in this game is a camera is fantastic. It just adds to the suspense.
yeah,
Suspense, so it's pretty good.
no, I agree. Let me see if I can get. There's some gameplay video here for the new game as well, but I suppose you can check that out if you wanted to.
Yep.
So we have one more thing we wanted to check about or talk about really quick before we move on with the show today. Um, just really quick, we were talking about Yokai Watch last week on the previous podcast, and it just got announced that in November here they're going to be releasing a 2DS bundle with Yokai Watch for $99,
Yeah.
which is a pretty good deal.
Definitely. I mean, a 2DS, it's definitely a console more headed towards more children. Of course, because it doesn't have any 3D effects on it. It's more durable. But it is $99, $99,
99
including a
cents.
game. Yeah, 99 cents.
I
right?
wish.
Everybody. But it does include the game, and like I said last week when we talked about it, I'm completely endorsing this game. It is level 5. It is Pokemon-ish, and it is Nintendo. So I'm completely all for it. So if you don't have a 3DS and you're interested in Yokai Watch or the amazing library that the 3DS already has, this is an amazing deal, and I would definitely buy that immediately if I already didn't have one.
Right. I mean, the 2DS normally is $99 without a game. So if you look at that, it's fine. As somebody who worked at Nintendo, I've actually messed around with a lot of their consoles as well. I actually didn't mind the 2DS, to be honest. I felt like it fit pretty well with my hands. I mean, it doesn't fold, but that's fine. It's not something you can really put in your pocket. But for the cost and for the power of the system, I was perfectly fine with the thing.
No, so, it's a good system. It is the 3DS without the
without
3D.
3D. Yeah.
And people who actually have grabbed it like you, Derek, and you played with it when you were in Nintendo, it is a nice system. It definitely is. I wouldn't buy it because I already have my XL 3DS and I like to fold it and put it in my pocket, things I can't do with the 2DL. But if you're in a budget, it's an amazing system. So yeah, definitely go buy it.
I just saw somebody was comparing Yokai Watch to Shin Megami Tensei.
Really?
Like a kid's version of it. I don't know if that's true from what I've seen played at all, actually.
I haven't seen much gameplay in combat, at least. I haven't seen much combat in it. In fact, I think the combat part is the least exciting part of it.
Yeah.
But the collecting and some of those monsters, dude, some of those ghosts are really freaky.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's great.
So, I think that's it for what's in the news. We're going to move on to new shit.
Yeah.
Which is where we're going to be talking about what we've been playing recently. Do you want to start or should I start?
I can start.
Okay.
So, it's October, dude. It is that time of the year where all the great games are almost here. It is almost Christmas. It is almost Black Friday. All those amazing games are about to come out, and you just finish all your shit. So what do you go? You go back to your old shit that you haven't played in a while and start playing that crap again. And I want to highlight this episode to Pokemon Alpha Sapphire or Omega Ruby. You guys already know by the beginning of this episode, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I just love that shit nonstop. And I want to talk about this game. This game is great. It is not the best of the series, Derek. If you were to start again Pokemon, I would say go back to Pokemon X and Y first. I believe is a better game. Mainly because Alpha Sapphire brings all those things we didn't like from the third generation. And they really, although amazing graphics, it's a complete remake of the game, those details did not get fixed. It is like, this is a running joke in the internet, which is IGN gave it too much water as a negative, and it is true. The game has too much water. There's too much floating around in water, too much randomness, too much random battles, something that is very common in a Final Fantasy game, but in Pokemon, usually you're able to, not be able to get into that because you can avoid tall grass, right? But when you're in water or when you're in a cave, it's a constant hassle. And that game didn't fix those issues. But the game itself is pretty amazing. The graphics are on point. The fact that there's so many options in terms of its Pokedex. You start the game and you already have over 200 Pokemon that you can catch. Now, in the
Right.
original third generation,